Good morning, everyone. Jake, if you could do roll call, please.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Mark Ramey,
Here.
Steve McCombs. Here.
Entertain a motion for today's agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. McCombs. Aye. Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Communications. We have received a communication regarding our assessor, Kelly Kingery. She has turned in her resignation. Her last day will be November 30th. Any other communications?
Yeah, the only other one we're addressing in the agenda.
Public comments. This is the portion in which things that are not on the agenda below, if you have a public comment, these could possibly become future topics for future agendas. Any public comments? Anything online? Seeing none? Moving on. Entertain a motion for today's consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs. Aye.
On to business. Item number 1 is a public hearing. It's the proposed Marion County Ordinance 2023-9 zoning map amendment. Missy.
Yeah, Marion County received a request for Marilyn Rice to be able to, she's wanting to be able to sell off her farm ground. If you could go to the map, it would help. At this time, the only way that she is going to be able to afford to stay in her current home is if she sells off the farm ground. So that's the proposal, and this is in a tract where there's already 3 lots. So in order to split off 2 more, it'll have to be a subdivision. So, and rezone to ag residential. So the proposal is to split off 3 acres with each house, and then approximately 19 acres of farm ground be sold, again, to be able to stay in her home. So zoning commission approved this rezoning, the recommendation on October 17th. There is, and I'm sure that's what the Smiths are here to speak about, an agreement as to the sale of this property. That is a civil matter that the only way this property can be sold, the farm ground can be sold, is if the request before you today is approved. Otherwise, she can't split off her house and stay in her house and sell the farm ground. So that's, again, that's, if they want to speak of the agreement, that's a civil matter. I did check with Ross when I received a copy of the agreement between the Smiths and Mrs. Rice, and he verified that it doesn't impact the rezone. It does impact the rezoning, because if the rezoning and the subdivision is not approved, she can't even sell the ground and stay in her house. So the only way we can move forward for the sale of the farm ground is if it is approved. This, again, it's intermixed in A1 zoning. Future land use plan shows it agricultural on that side of the road. It's got adequate access. If there were to, there's currently 1 access on the Highway 5. If there was to be more accesses, that's something they'd have to approve. I think we're getting down to limited along 165th, giving us a short stretch, but so yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward since we're over the 4 per 40 in that tract. Then we're at the point of rezoning.
This is the public hearing portion. Do we have any public comments? Yeah, this is the time in which, Max, if you have questions. Max, could you please state your name and where your address is, please, for the record?
My name's Max Smith. I'm the president of Smith Fertilizer and Grain. I've worked there for 50 years. Got the privilege of working with my boss here, my mother. She still tells me what to do every day. So not very many of you get that privilege, but I get to do that. So in the beginning, when our business started back in the 1970 approximately, there were about 11 businesses on this side of the Des Moines River. that I was well acquainted with. You didn't travel very far back in those days, and there was probably that many on the other side of the river too, but for whatever reason, we didn't used to cross the river too much like we do today. And since then, there's been lots of changes. Through the decades, the city, the county, different people asked that agribusiness such as ourselves not build in the urban areas of the city and things like that, and preferred that we move some of our buildings out of the community. And at that time, I was trying to buy the McCormick Leland, no, I wasn't Leland, it was Keith McCormick. Keith McCormick built that facility here in town. And anyways, short story is, he ended up moving it out of town, and we built ours out of town. And so most of the businesses like ours honored the people that requested this, and there wasn't anything formal or anything. It was just discussion made sense. There's the chemicals, there's the dust, there's anhydrous ammonia. There was an anhydrous ammonia tank, I think just out here a short distance from where we're at today. And they ended up moving it clear out of the country. And so all of us did that. In the meantime, not all of us, but most of us. And through the process, well, there's only 2 people left in this county that have any kind of an agriculture business of any sort, and that's us and Two Rivers Co-op. And those businesses are 10 to 20 times bigger than what they was back when they was conceived. And our business, for instance, we're the largest employment. We've got 12 family members in our business that are related to the Smiths that work there. There's about 80 employees total. So we've got a lot of employees that work there. There's a lot of trucks, a lot of traffic. We're probably the heaviest traveled gravel road in the county, and the county hasn't had the money to pave that road, and for whatever the variety of reasons are. And so we put our own dust control on and try to be good neighbors to people, but we've got a lot of trucks, and I'm sure if you know us at all, you see our trucks on the road. There's tremendous amount of truck traffic that comes out of that area. And we used to have a lot of hog confinements, and we tore some of those down. We still have one left. And we've got the largest anhydrous ammonia tank, I think, maybe in the state of Iowa, there where I live. And got 1 million gallon of liquid storage and for fertilizer, and a tremendous amount of stuff there. A lot of people don't even know we have. And it is pretty compact, and it's just grew with the territory. When somebody went out of business, somebody else had to pick up the slack, and our family was pretty good at doing that. And so since that time, Two Rivers Co-op did the same thing over there. They've grown their business, and so we're in a very congested area down there where we live at. And this property that they're wanting to rezone is right across the road from us. And we have this hog confinement that is directly across the road from it. I don't know if you see it in the picture there, right where the 165, I think, intersects there. There's a building left that we're in the process of making decisions whether to reopen that or not, but there'll be a nuisance from that if there's new neighbors that comes across there, and we obviously oppose this request. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, we was asked by leaders such as the supervisors, city leaders, all through this place in this county to move out of the urban areas and be in the country where we wasn't in danger, where the people was building their homes. And now we face a time when there's more houses being built moving out of town and coming into the country. And there's room for all of us, but when you, make a rule that it's okay to build a house across from an area that's already what some people believe is a nuisance, well, then you're just opening up another can of worms. And it makes no sense to us why anyone would want to open up a area on purpose in writing and go to this length to build homes across from a place like ours. Our business will continue to grow. We're not just done today. We hope we aren't anyway. I've got three boys and two nephews that run our business today, and along with my brother and I would predict that business will continue to grow, and there will be more dust. There'll be more of everything.
So Max,
And the traffic is,
yeah, Missy, this is obviously the public comments portion. But Max, and regarding the lots being directly across from you, those are going to be 3-acre lots, correct?
So
And
there's, when this is called a subdivision, the other side of that is, there's no, at this point, houses being proposed other than the two that are there will be split into separate lots. So they will be individual lots. We aren't proposing, I mean, the farm ground is gonna stay the 19, almost 20 acres to continue to be
and this
farm
will,
ground. If
this will
there
be-
were to be something proposed as far as houses being built like English Creek down the road, that would come back before you yet again. So this is not, I mean, every property owner has a right to make a request. So that's where we're at. Mrs. Rice wants to stay in her home. She had a right to make a request because she doesn't have adequate income without the sale of the farm ground. So
these will be lots that'll be up for sale.
no, so
It's not?
Mrs. Rice is in the north house.
Okay.
Her daughter-in-law lives in the manufactured home that is accessed off of Highway 5. That's not gonna change. Those houses are already there. She just needs the equity to be able to stay in the house, so she needs to sell the farm ground.
The farm ground, and then there's not gonna be any other lots.
No,
Okay,
it's
all right.
a 20, almost a 20-acre piece
Okay,
is
all right.
all that's being sold.
I just
And,
want to make sure for clarity.
Max has the right, they have an agreement that they will be that they could purchase the property?
That is my understanding, and again, that's a civil matter. The agreement states that if there is to be a offer on that 20 acres, then the Smiths have 10 days to meet that offer.
the agreement goes like this, that Marilyn's husband is deceased now, but when he was alive and they were together there, well, they didn't want us to build any more hog houses over there because of the smell, which we understood. So we made an agreement that we wouldn't build any more hog houses in that area and would find somewhere else to build them if we did, if they would give us the first opportunity to buy that land if they were to sell it.
Okay,
And so it was an agreement both ways, and we've kept our side of the bargain, and we've done our best to. We offered to buy the farm and let her stay there for life for no charge, and we've done a lot of things to be good to her, and which is neither here nor there probably for this group, but we've done about everything we know how to make it so she could live comfortably the rest of her life. with no
are you
expense.
still interested in that property, Max? Or I mean, if it comes up for sale?
Say again, please.
Are you still interested in that property if it comes up for sale?
Oh, yes.
So if you buy it, then you wouldn't have to build a house there. I mean, okay, I'm starting to see the picture here.
Right.
Okay.
Is there any other public, since this is the public hearing portion, is there any other public comments? Anything online? Okay. Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the
I
public hearing.
just wanted to add that to me, we can stop this from becoming a problem down the road if we want to, or we can make it so it's still open. And I'd ask you guys to put it to rest so it doesn't become a problem down the road, because somehow we have to get along, the people that live in town and the people that live in the country, and you've got to have business like ours. And we don't like the situation any better than anybody else, but we've done the best we can to, if you look at our business, I think it's pretty kept up and everything's in its place and not very many of them are that way. And we try to be good neighbors to everyone.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, Max, if you're interested in a property and you purchase it, you can control what happens there.
I'm sorry,
If you're interested in the property and you purchase it, you can control what happens in the future there.
and we will at that time when, if it gets that far, but I just don't want to mislead somebody that's gonna build a house there that we don't exist. And that if there's a hog house there and it's been there for 30-some years and.
Well, I would think people would be smart enough to see
Well,
that.
you think so, but I'll just leave it at that. But thank you. for
Thank you,
listening.
Max. Thank you. Entertain a motion. to
Make
close
a
the public
motion to
hearing.
close the public hearing.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
On to item number 2, which is ordinance 2023-9. It's the approval of the first reading proposed Marion County ordinance, the zoning map amendment. Or do we have any further discussion?
So, Missy, when you brought this up, you were talking about there being a legal precedent or a legal condition relative to
The sale of the property.
the sale of the property, but it had to be approved by the board.
There can't be a sale of pieces of the property without the approval of the rezoning and the subdivision. So I believe, there may have been discussions in the past that Max referred to as them buying the whole property. That's a civil matter that Marion County's not involved in, nor will we be involved in. They didn't come to a resolution on that, selling the property as a whole. So Mrs. Rice's next option is to move forward to sell the farm ground and keep the houses individually.
Okay, so there's no legal action currently underway that
No.
that this impacts.
No, not to my understanding. I've been working closely with Jake Hughes on this. He was at the zoning meeting, but I believe Ross is here to have him in court right now, so he couldn't be here today. And so there, again, Ross reviewed the agreement they have, that Mrs. Rice has in place with the Smiths. And the only way that she can sell that farm ground to them is to go through the process, that is before you today.
Okay,
But changing it to this new designation would allow for subdivision.
It would, I mean, if there were further subdivision, you mean as far as to split up that 20 acres? It possibly could. That would then again come before you as a subdivision because we are limited access. More than likely, it would become a major subdivision, at which time the zoning commission and the supervisors would see it again.
Yeah, which led me to my question when I asked Max, if you're interested in a property and you buy it, then you can control it. There won't be a subdivision.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm also listening to Max though, talk about you kind of set yourself up for a potential problem at the same time, right? Because you create a property that's potentially to be subdivided next to a business that's already got tremendous rules and restrictions against it. So I don't know what the proximity is, Max, to this property and your current, you go back to the map, Renee?
And
Max does have 3 homes on his property.
well, miss it. So
close to-
Jeannie Smith's
That's all
property
Max
is-
is right there?
Yeah.
Okay,
So her house is part of the tract, one of the lots out of the tract that we're
Okay.
discussing.
okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, the property is across the highway.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, I understand the concerns and in what you're expressing, Max, I get that. I also think as being a landowner, being able to stay in your home is important too. So I understand what Marilyn is asking, and this would it then give you opportunity to be able to purchase the rest of the ground if that's what you and your business or you and your family would want to do. So I don't have any further comments regarding this ordinance.
So Missy, in order for it to be sold, what's the rationale to change it? What's prohibiting her from selling it as it is under its current designation?
she wants to keep ownership of the two homes. So when we apply the 4 buildable lots per 40-acre tract, we're already at 3. And if she wants to split off the 2 homes, which lay on opposite sides of the land, then we're at 5. So that's when we put in the density, requirement back in 2010, that's how we got to where we're at now, so.
Maybe it would be clearer to show a picture of the actual subdivision. So this is just me
Yeah.
jumping from the outside, Mark, but
Mhm.
she wants to, my understanding is from that single parcel, keep 2 parcels of their homes. So to be able to, because of the amount of divisions in the 40 already, had to create this to be able to sell lot 1.
So it's a technical issue relative to our own.
So she can
zoning.
maintain homes on lots 2 and 3.
20
not
years ago,
sell.
we would have allowed it to happen, but after as Max referred to, more and more people move into the country, and we had, more and more splits of land and less organized development. That's when the board of supervisors at that time chose to update the ordinance and allow 4 buildable lots in a 40-acre tract when it was still in an A1 zoning district.
Okay. Good. No, it's good clarification, Jake. Thank you. Very good.
Further
I
discussion?
don't have anything else. No.
All right.
Steve, anything?
No,
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the first reading.
And I would add
Oh.
that ag residential does not take away from the ability to farm that ground.
Yeah.
So that ability is still there to be farm ground.
No, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-9. I'll take Max's comments under advisement, though, that if we do get something that comes to us for an extended development or additional development, that we don't forget
all right,
what Max said on the
Right.
record.
Do we have a second?
second,
McCombs,
aye,
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Item number 3 is ordinance 2023-9, which would be waiving the second and the third reading of the proposed county ordinance.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve 2023-9, waiving second and third readings.
second,
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
aye,
Item number 4 is resolution 2023-87. This is the resolution approving the plat for Rice Minor subdivision. Any further discussion, board?
Yeah, there's. Make a motion to approve resolution 2023-87.
second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
aye,
Ramey.
Aye. And just, I want to make a little comment here, Keisha. Just, and I think I can speak for Steve and Keisha as well. Max, I appreciate your comments. Really, I think that's something we'll remember on the record. But there's a consistency issue here as far as how we apply past board decisions from a zoning standpoint. I think we have to make sure that we follow through with those, keeping in mind whatever the contingent issues are that may come up in the future. So I think the board's desire to be consistent and not make a bunch of exceptions as far as what past boards have done or our zoning ordinances as they currently exist comes into play here.
it does raise some interesting questions, though. doesn't
It does. It does. Absolutely.
So we do, Max, we do appreciate you making your
Yeah,
comments and. yes,
absolutely.
And it is on the record, so we do appreciate that.
I just don't wanna have problems down the road, I'm afraid that's where we're headed. It's unnecessary, because you guys have to do what you gotta do.
No, appreciate it, Max. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Missy, thank you.
Let them leave the room here just a second.
Good
All right.
move. Good call out, Jake.
Item
Thank you.
number 5 is the 6th amendment and restated 2080 agreement for the county rural offices of social service, which is also known as CROSS. Do we have anybody as?
Yeah, there's nothing
Nothing
that
new?
has changed materially. It's just as you know, the board, the cross board has entered into really a services agreement, and I'll get the name wrong, Heartland. Is it Heartland?
Part of Iowa.
Heart of Iowa. Rachel, thank you. Rachel bailed me out with Heart of Iowa. And Rachel, I think we've incorporated some of that language into the agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, that's the changes for this 2080, along with the state of Iowa made some legislative changes last session. So they moved responsibility for regions from 331 to 225. And then added 2 board members to our board. We have a judicial representative now and a law enforcement representative.
Right. There's nothing in here regarding the access center as
Nope.
far as current process that we're under. Kelly is here and she's working on arranging some meetings with the legislators to move that process forward, but that's separate and distinct from this agreement.
Any further questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, entertain a motion for approval.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second?
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. On to item number 6, which is the appointments of Marion County Board of Supervisors Compensation Board representatives. Board, in the past, we have had representatives this past year for the compensation board, and those 2 for us were Bill Shepard and Lyle Vandermeiden. In your packet, you will see that has expired, the date. Wanting to know if further discussion, we want to have new appointments or how we want to proceed.
And they're open to doing it again, Keisha.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I've spoke to both of them.
I got it.
Yeah.
Steve, you got any
Yeah, no,
preference?
I'm fine with this.
Okay. I'm fine too. I'll make a motion to approve these appointments.
Second.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Oh, yep. So Lyle Vandermeiden, yeah, if you want a copy of it, and
Here, Steve.
Bill Shepard. Item number 7 is resolution 2023-89. Resolution directing the acceptance of the proposal to purchase 2.5 million and regarding general obligation bonds. So I'll
Jake,
I
Anything
think
you
Michael's.
is Michael on?
Yeah.
Michael, anything you want to
Hi,
add?
Yeah, I've got just a brief set of slides, Jake. I don't know if you've got it up there, but it's the same type of summary information that we have reviewed in the past with this group. I will move through the basic stuff quickly and get to the results here for folks. It's good news, so it should be short and sweet for you folks. The slide that's on the screen regarding geo bonds, again, this is the lowest cost financing avenue for the county from a capacity standpoint on the state's imposed 5% limit. The county has about $163 million of capacity. So from a capacity standpoint, that's plenty here. We authorize this through the TIF statutes in the spring. So it's really just a matter of the repayment, which we helped get a partial security from the development agreement between the city and the developer. Let's go to the next slide. Want to just be clear here that for TIF, the valuation that comes online provides the revenue that's going to be helped from that new valuation in future years. So, the county is supporting this development project in the city of Pleasantville, and in return for that is receiving a portion of those future TIF revenues. This ties all back again to the development agreement. I know this group's worked on this for a number of months, so I'm not rushing through this, but this should be ringing some bells for everybody that's on today. Next slide. Just a quick summary of the project here. The only change from this information is that the number in the middle, the request for county assistance, that $2,031,000 and change was the required proceeds amount from the bonds issued that we're finalizing here with action today. That's the same number that's there. It's just that we've now finished that process. The updated element then is the final break even of 3.344 million. That's the net debt service, principal and interest over the life of the bonds. That assumes they're paid to maturity without any refinancing or early prepayment. That is a lower number than that's been shared with the county to date for a couple reasons. One, we tried to be conservative historically and have final numbers. And two, we had a really good 2-week run here in the municipal bond market with tax exempt interest rates, helping lower that overall cost, which will make repayment easier for the county from the portion of those city TIF revenues over time. Next slide. The impact slide is also showing lower dollar amounts for the same reasons we talked about before, as well as the addition of the minimum assessment component on the previously approved development agreement between the city and the developer. As Chairman Johnner had mentioned previously in discussion, I had not been including that in this worst case scenario because it hadn't been signed. Now that a development agreement is completed, that worst case impact of the county looks stronger. So assuming no other development beyond the minimum assessment is created, $3.20 per year per 100,000 of residential valuation works out to about 27 cents per month. This is sort of the consistent formatting that's been provided to the County Board of Supervisors on these projects for both Pella Prairie Ridge, Knoxville, VA, and now the Pleasantville Atkins property. Next slide. So just the final results here on the capital loan notes, the 2.19 million final par amount. The rating was approved in the spring, so that's not new news. The true interest cost of 4.6% is lower than the 5 to 5.5% we've been looking at for conservative estimates previously. Again, both conservative estimates plus a really good 2 weeks in the bond market for this 20-year term. And then on the last slide, just a quick note in terms of remaining timing. So today locks in the rates and terms on the notes. You'll get a nice stack of paperwork 2 weeks from today after the Thanksgiving holiday. Then Davidson's going to deliver the funds to the county at closing on December 14th. Wanted to be short and sweet here today. Also wanted to mention two last items. First, the bonds. Davidson is taking risk on about 15% of the bond issue. We think rates are appropriate. We just couldn't find buyers by this morning. That's not going to change anything to the county, but we wanted to make sure rates were as low and consistent as we think they are based on our expertise in the market. And then the second piece is I want to thank county staff for all their time and effort. They have plenty on their hands. Jake, elections, right? But being able to do this with all the attorneys and all the information being requested over a multi-month, multi-year process, want to make sure that's acknowledged here for the board members so they understand the effort that went into this. Thanks again for the opportunity to serve the county. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michael. Board, any questions?
No, I think good results on interest rate. I mean, depending on not where we were for the VA certainly, but better results than what we could have anticipated. So Michael, thank you for all your work hanging with us on this project. It's going to be good for the city of Pleasantville as they
Excellent.
Nope.
Entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2023-89.
Yeah, I'll move to approve resolution 2023-89.
Second.
John, excuse me, Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Let's use 9:34 by my watch. Jake, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Michael.
Michael.
Item number 8 is resolution 2023-88, which is Highway G28 Community Project Funding Agreement. Tyler.
So this is the federal funding agreement for the G28 project. The majority of these funds will be farm to market. However, we did receive $2 million from the congressional earmark funds from Representative Miller Meeks in 2021, I think is when we originally applied for these funds. So the Iowa DOT is administering the federal funds like they do any federal funds. All the requirements for the funding is the same as other surface transportation funding per the last Transportation Act, FAST Act. So there's really nothing new here. The funding is different than what we would normally use because we got the Congressional Earmark Fund grant, but as far as the federal requirements and the DOT administering it down through the counties, that is all the same as we would normally do on any other type of federal bridge or road project.
Very good. Thank you, Tyler.
Steve, any questions?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve 2023-88.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks,
Thank you.
Tyler.
Item number 9, I am going to refer to, Vice Chair, McCombs, and I have abstained in the past in regarding this, and so gonna let him take the lead, please.
Yeah, morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
I hear you are here to speak on the renewal of a contract for lobbying services.
Yes, sir. And I've sent you all for your review. The proposed contract was essentially like last year's, which I've plugged in some issues that we'll be monitoring and proactively working on. Just a little bit of an overview. So January 8th, we'll start our second session of the 90th General Assembly. Right now, we currently have a Republican supermajority in both chambers and a Republican governor. I anticipate that we'll see a lot of the momentum that we've seen last year and the issues that we've seen continue on. Some issues of interest that I think that we'll be monitoring is continued changes to property tax. The legislators have really embraced property tax reform, any kind of tax reform. Last year, after they passed the property tax bill, they said this is now a good start. I know that the Senate still has a number of priorities that they would like to see passed, such as I will, and how that will be funded is kind of up in the air. I know that we saw some proposals last year, which would alter the local option sales tax, alter that, and then that money would go to fund other things. So we'll be monitoring that and get that in front of you to see how that might be impacting Marion County. And one of the reasons we're there is to have that interface with legislators and say, hey, this is how this is going to impact local governments. It's really important that they understand that. Another issue I anticipate we'll be seeing is on the heels of the government reorg bill last year, which took 34 state agencies down to 17. That has been keeping everyone in those agencies very, very busy, making those changes. And now that legislation set up an interim committee, which was to look at boards and commissions. And the proposal that committee has put out there would be 111 fewer boards and commissions than previous, which would be a reduction of 43%. At least 450 fewer governor appointed members has come out of that report. And they intend for there to be increased engagement on boards and commissions by expanding the number of Iowans eligible to serve on the boards and commissions. Another way of saying that is right now that there's gender and equity for male, female kind of distribution on boards. In some professions, for instance, which are very male dominated, like law enforcement, it's really, really difficult to get a female in rural Iowa that's a law enforcement officer to serve on a particular board or commission. And then the opposite's true for female or traditionally female kind of professions where it's difficult to find a male. I represent, for instance, the behavioral analyst. There's a lot of females in that profession, but not very many males. And so they're supposed to have equity for gender on their board. So when they eliminate that, they're thinking they will be able to get more people to serve in those boards and commissions roles. They want to implement more clear and consistent, effective licensing standards as well. That is going to be, last year's government reorg bill was 1,600 pages. And so this year, I anticipate it's going to be another gargantuan bill of that sort to try to implement the recommendations that we've seen come out of that interim committee. And I want to make sure that we're monitoring that and seeing how that would also impact local governments in Marion County. Some additional issues that I'd be working on is the monitoring mental health and the funding. Currently, I'm going to work with legislators on issues relative to the mental health services and the ability of Marion County through its region to serve those constituents, residents, citizens of the Osceola Access Center, which now is in flux, if you will. Continue to work to address can't say this word, adequate fees for the treasurer's office, relative to driver's license registrations, and, renewing your licenses. Last year, got a convenience fee was passed in House File 718, which was a move in the right direction. So if counties like Marion County that are kind of on the outskirts of an urban area, if you ever go to the DOT office in Polk County, I mean, it's busy. And so if people tend to, for the convenience of it, drive out to Warren or Marion County to get their license renewed, the county treasurer now can add a $10 convenience fee on those citizens that don't live in Marion County. So that's a move in the right direction. There hasn't been a bill that we've followed and supported in working with the Treasurers Association to increase licensure and registration fees, which have not been increased for like 30 years. There seems to be some movement and they're receptive in the House. There's some hesitancy in the Senate, I think, because the way they've done it is, okay, let's see how we're gonna make all this work with property tax, and have it all in one kind of bill to address it all. And that's how the convenience fee was addressed last year. So we'll continue to work on that, educate on that. Also proactively this year, I'll be working with Tyler and iDolls to talk about the sinkhole, frankly. Tyler and I went to the Administrative Rules Review Committee this year where iDolls brought in and gave a presentation to the Rules Review Committee about how that whole process works. When there is a sinkhole, the regulatory requirements for that, the regulatory requirements that are not there for that. And so we're going to work on that issue as well. And so also in talking with Tyler, we're going to work to support the Iowa County Engineers Association in their efforts to obtain responsible and sustainable funding to address the increasing heavy loads to Iowa's rural roads and bridges. We've seen increasing load weights over the past years, and how that is impacting county roads is very important. So we'll be taking that message up to the Capitol as well. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you, Kelly. I believe that for the citizens of Marion County, we need to be represented at the legislative level. We haven't done that in the past, but we are currently doing that now, and I think it's very important. We may not always be successful, but at least we're the squeaky wheel.
Well, and I think it's really important for them to hear from a county your size, a rural county that's very conservative, who's trying to pass on savings and keep taxes low for everyone in your county. And it's important that they see that and contrast that to other larger counties, not that they're not doing the right thing, but that rural counties are often different than urban counties.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you
welcome.
for everything you've done for us, Kelly.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I hope we're successful in the future.
I do.
Thanks, Kelly.
Well, I'd entertain a motion to accept the renewal.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Ramey?
Aye.
Johnner?
Abstain.
McCombs?
Aye.
On to item number 10. This is the Board of Supervisor updates. Mr. Ramey?
Nothing.
Nope, I have nothing.
I just have Central Iowa Workforce Development and then Impact in the next couple weeks. Other than that, I have nothing. On to Jake, do you need a motion to close discussion there? Okay, all right. On to item number 11, which is the Pleasant Grove Township discussion.
Yeah, really not a whole lot to discuss right here. At least I don't think. We received an email as a board. Normally we would talk about this in our communications section, but since it was sent to Keisha and myself and also to the state of Iowa, felt that we should bring it up as an agenda item, really to refer this to our county attorney to take a look at it and advise the board of any issues that we may need to be aware of. Just taking the email at face value, there's really nothing for us that we don't have enough to sort through. And we're not an adjudicating body in that sense. So my recommendation is that based on that email, which there's some kind of potential conflict at the township level here, that we should have Jared advise us of any actions the board can take in regard to that communication.
Do we have some public here that was wanting to speak on behalf of this issue, or I wasn't for sure if there is? You do? Okay. Could you come to the podium or, okay. It's on if you, yeah.
I can use it for a mic.
Could you please state your name and or business and your address, please, for the record?
My name is Ray Bertrand. I operate a Bybee and Davis Funeral Home here in Knoxville and Mason Funeral Home in Pleasantville. And there have been some issues with the township, specifically regarding Ray White, who I believe is township secretary. Since he was assumed that position, there has been a lot of conflict. He's tried to use his elected position to, I guess, financially gain.
Okay, let's,
Hey.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Keisha.
so let's, if you can just state what you have experienced and let's just leave,
Well,
really
we
details because we're not.
traditionally,
Ray, if I could just, I'm going to clarify for Keisha here, just to the email that was sent.
I haven't read it.
Okay. I think because of some of the issues in the email, which you may be raising, we need to hear from Jared. He has not had an opportunity to review it. I don't want to raise any issues of a legal nature that we have no background in, because there's nothing we can do right now. Once Jared reviews, comes back to the board, then you'll be able to address those issues.
Okay.
And we will be fully informed. Is that fair?
So we're not discussing any.
Not if we're going to go down the road of talking about the issue, because we've not had an opportunity to have our county attorney even look at
Yeah,
this.
he's not, they've not had a chance to review, then that is fine. Then ultimately we'll end up having to discuss this at some point, Ray.
Okay,
So, but it is on the record that you do have some concerns
okay.
and that we can,
It will be an
just-
agenda item again as soon as Jared reviews.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Appreciate it.
And
Go-
I am happy to review that. We've already started the process of presenting to the board what options are. And Ray, I would just tell you that I'm happy to discuss with you as well if you have certain things that you want to talk about with me. So. Okay.
That'd be
good.
great. Perfect. Thank you, Jared.
yeah. So if that's something that maybe Jared, you could come back and give us, and then possibly if these folks want to meet with you and discuss that could be an opportunity. So,
I'm happy to do that.
all right.
Make them. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jake will have a copy of it, Steve.
Okay.
Make a motion to close discussion on this item.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. On to, we are going to be going into closed session. So at this point, I'm entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to enter into closed session and adjourn open session.
Second,
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
aye.
Very good.
Entertain a motion to reconvene into open session.
So moved.
Second,
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
aye.
Ramey.
Aye.
The action in regarding the closed session, we are instructing as a board, the county attorney and the county engineer to go ahead and do research as discussed by the board. Further action? Need a motion to close. Adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.